Well, hello everyone, and welcome to another riveting edition of Questions with Colin. I am your host, Colin McCormick, illustrious parish administrator, and I'm joined here today by our special guest, Mr. Frank Scariano of Scariano Construction. Now, Scariano, that's Irish?
Yeah, exactly.
Sorry. We're visiting with Frank today because Frank is not only a parishioner, but he is our general contractor for the Reidy Hall project. And as you look behind us, you can see that demolition is well underway, and we're excited about this project. So we want to visit with Frank today and get to know him and understand a little bit about what we're doing, why we're doing it, and time frames and challenges and the whole 9 yards. So Frank, tell us a little bit about yourself, your family, St. Francis, your connections here.
So we started coming to St. Francis about 2011. I was raised Episcopalian. My dad was Catholic, but I always wondered why we weren't Catholic, I suppose. But my family and I started coming here in 2011 and then came into the church in 2013. Both Kelly and I attended Jesuit University and just felt a real connection here once we started attending.
And those of you might remember, Kelly for a long time was on our staff here at the parish as when we had the parish nurse position. But you're also no stranger to helping us out here because we've done a number of construction projects in the last few years that the parish has been very generous in supporting. But let's see, we did the Loyola Center main floor hallway remodel, which really helped transform that building. And we've remodeled each classroom since then.
Helped with the kitchen there too, I think.
Helped with the kitchen remodel. Then we did the narthex of the church, the foyer, the interior of the foyer of the church, and really, in many respects, restored that to what it probably looked like, originally. And then this project, which we started. We
started talking about this project, I think, in early 2019.
I think that's about right.
And then engaged an architect and worked with the staff here and the Jesuit community here and started dreaming about what this could be.
Right. And as I remember, it started with a conversation about just replacing the glass block windows. And I'm dangerous to have in a conversation like that because I remember saying, wouldn't it be nice if we had light from both the east and the west? And before we knew it, we had slid the kitchen over, the bathrooms down, and this became a major remodeling project. But we're excited about it. So we have signed a contract with Scariano Construction. We're very excited about it. But this is an important project for Scariano. What attracts you to a project this size?
We've won. I love working on older buildings, and we've won, I think, 14 or 15 city historic preservation awards.
Fantastic.
I don't know that, certainly the church building is on the historic register. I don't know that Reidy Hall will count as a historic renovation.
Not in its present condition.
But we value these buildings, and we like to see them maintained and given new life. And so we've really built our business on doing lots of old homes and old buildings and things like that downtown. Do a lot of work downtown. So
one thing we've really enjoyed about Frank and Scariano Construction is their attention to detail and wanting to make sure that project is absolutely done right. And because we've worked together, we've seen that bear out. And so it was a real natural to have you guys involved in this project, but we are doing something slightly different here, and I'm hoping maybe you can help explain this. And I always get this mixed up, but it's the construction manager general contractor model or approach. This is becoming a little bit more common now, but our parishioners may not be familiar with how this is structured.
So it's called a GCCM, General Contractor Construction Manager model. And recent projects include the courthouse, the library. I think the Russell Street Bridge was done this way. So many projects are done this way now. It typically used to have a bid process. There still is a bid process here, absolutely. But you hire a contractor to manage that and be your representative. So we have still gone through for St. Francis to let parishioners know that we're going to be good stewards of that money. We still have had many of the major items bid. Anything over $10,000 has been bid on this project. So for instance, our crew, we are self-performing some of the work, and then we will bid some, or have other subcontractors bid and perform that work, whatever was the best value for St. Francis.
Yeah, and a couple of those contractors are affiliated with the parish already. 4Gs, which has been handling our plumbing and heating for years, and
Jacobson
Electric, members of the parish and involved. So this is a model that's being used more commonly now.
Correct.
Yeah.
And it gets, I think what it does is it gets the owner and the contractor on the same side of the table, and we really advocate for you in this instance, and we share all the numbers, so you know there's no hidden costs, you know exactly what we're planning to do, and we're taking direction from you and advising you.
It seems efficient.
It is efficient.
It's a more efficient way of going about this. And we should add that along this process we have followed diocesan compliance, if you will, in terms of how a bid is done, and we have to submit it to the diocese because after all, this property is owned by the Diocese of Helena. So when we concluded the contract with Scariano Construction, it was approved by the bishop. And of course, our pastoral and finance councils have been with us every step of the way with regard to this process. So we were very successful in raising the initial amount of money that we expected for this bid to cost, but inflation and supply chain issues really kind of bumped things up. And of course, we know we're now seeking to raise additional funding, and the capital campaign continues. Frank, inflation and the supply chain thing has affected St. Francis Reidy Hall, but talk to us generally about what's going on in the construction industry.
That has really changed how we do business. It used to be we could almost come on site and order things in a just-in-time or as we needed it. But the supply chain or on certain things has completely upended our business in terms of how long things take. For instance, the windows that we're going to order for Reidy Hall, which are really close, we're really close to ordering, are probably going to take somewhere in the neighborhood of 30 to 36 weeks to arrive from the time we order them.
And what would they normally have taken?
They normally would take anywhere from, 2 years ago, they would have taken 4 to 6 weeks.
Yeah.
And so it's across the board. And then, of course, as far as materials go, and then inflation, especially fuel and trucking. A few years ago, we saw there was a shortage of truck drivers and trucks to transport goods, and now the double whammy with fuel costs. Fuel costs are double what they were a year ago, and so that's driving the cost up of everything, whether it be lumber, whether it be nails, whether it be steel, what have you.
It just affects everything down the line. And people are experiencing this in their private lives with groceries and costs of cars and all this type of thing. On a project this size, it adds up in a hurry in terms of what the additional costs and how it's affecting this particular project. And, it was the pandemic that shut everything down, and then all of a sudden, all this demand and ramping up and getting things out is why things are delayed.
We first saw it with labor. There was this huge demand for labor.
Right.
But we seen the materials were available, but now the materials, I don't know where everybody's gone in terms of who's making this stuff, but they're just taking
not there.
Forever. Yeah, they're just not there. And so we've started to lock in. I think we signed the contract with St. Francis in May, and we immediately started locking in subcontractors, especially those ones that had a lot of materials. So mechanical, electrical, plumbing.
Things that might take a long time to get in.
Steel, I think we have an invoice for steel for you coming up this month, even though we're not going to put that steel up yet.
Yeah.
But we've locked in those prices in May.
Yeah.
So with this in mind.
So speaking of dates and months, let's maybe give the folks a sense of our timeline. Now, disclaimer, it's a rough timeline. It's a general idea. But I mean, we have some reasonable certainty at this point, kind of when we'll be starting. Obviously, demolition has started.
Demolition has started, mainly being led by Colin.
Yeah, and, absolutely.
Jesuit
We've got some volunteers from a Jesuit high school in Buffalo, New York, that were out this week that helped us. So, but we're going to start what I'm determining as heavy construction, real construction at Labor Day.
When we mobilized again on St. Francis this spring, the earliest that our mechanical contractor and plumbing contractor, 4Gs, could start was November 1. That was the earliest time frame
Yeah.
they could give us. So we worked backwards from there to determine what we needed to get done ahead of time. And because I think Colin wanted us in here now working.
Yesterday.
But given 4G's and Jacobson's timeline, and
Yeah.
they have at least 40% of this project.
Yeah, I mean, those are big mechanical issues.
So they could start, 4Gs could start November 1 roughly. So we work backwards from there, and we'll start the Tuesday after Labor Day.
Right.
We will publish a more formal schedule with Colin and the parish so you guys can follow along. Right. But at this point, our rough timeline is starting in September, finishing in approximately May of 2023.
Right. And so it's going to be a full year of construction, give or take timelines and things we discover that we didn't know were here that we have to deal with. Hopefully not too many. And then, yeah, all through this next liturgical year, if you will, we're going to be without Reidy Hall and making special accommodations for meetings and other things in other parts of the building here. So Frank, one last question, ad lib. Just how great has it been working with me?
Colin,
speak right to the camera.
Colin is very easy to work with. He's on top of things, he's organized, he's enthusiastic. I have no problem working with Colin.
Did I tell you how much we like Frank Scariano? No, Frank, I appreciate you visiting with us today and telling parishioners what we have going and how this project's going to unfold. I'm going to make a shameless pitch for those of you who have yet to contribute to this Reidy Hall project. It's really a critically important project for the church. I think when people step into this hall next spring, next May, they will really be astounded at what has been taking place here and how this hall has been transformed. So don't be shy. Please help us. It's going to take us a while to raise the additional, at this point, $350,000 we need. But we need your help. And with that, and with Frank's help, we're going to have a brand new hall to enjoy come spring of 2023. So thank you, and thank you, Frank.
Thank you, Colin. And
Appreciate it.
Let's give him a tour in another few months.
Absolutely.
All right. Thank you.